This video is from an introduction video course on how to build, test, and deploy RESTful web services. And if you're interested in more videos that will teach you how to implement features like user sign up, sign in, email verification, password reset, and how to secure your REST API and implement token-based authentication, there are many more videos I have. So if you're interested, please check the link in the description to this video. And also please don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I publish new videos weekly. In this video, you will learn how to handle HTTP POST request and how to read JSON or XML payload from the body of that HTTP POST request. So we have this method createUser, and we added a post mapping annotation so that when HTTP POST request is sent to /users, then this method can be triggered. But at this moment, this method does not accept any method arguments, it does not accept any information, and it cannot really read anything from HTTP request. So we'll need to work on that to enable it to read JSON body. Let's have a look at an example of HTTP POST request. So here I have HTTP POST request that can be sent to /users, and then this HTTP POST request contains body, which is a JSON payload. It contains JSON document which contains first name, last name, email, and password. Now, when I send this HTTP request, this JSON payload, when is sent to this web service endpoint, will need to be converted into a Java object so that we can use it in our Java method. And for it to happen, we will need to create a new Java class that can be used to hold the information that this JSON document contains. So we'll need to create a new Java class that will contain a class field called first name, and it will also contain a class field that is called last name, email, and password. And when this HTTP POST request is sent, the framework will take this JSON payload and will convert it into a Java object that we are going to create now that can hold this information. So let's create a new Java class. I'll go to source main, and that's going to be a new Java class and a new package, new Java class. And because this Java class is going to contain user details, I'll call it user details. And this is coming from HTTP request, so I will give it a keyword request. And then this is going to be a model class, so I'll call it model user details request model. And I will put it into a package. We have model response. I will put it into model request. So all the objects that are related to HTTP request, I'll be putting into this package, model request. And I'll click on finish. And now I will need to create a few class fields, but the name of these class fields should match the names I have in my JSON document. So the first one will be first name. Let's create private string first name, and then I'll have private string last name, and then we'll have private string email and private string password. So these class fields are named just the way we have them in our JSON payload because they will need to be mapped to this information. Okay, and for the framework to be able to map information from JSON into this Java class, we'll need to create setters and getters. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to encapsulate these fields. I will click and then choose source and then generate getters and setters. And I'll select all of them and I will choose insertion point after the password. Okay, so now we have getters and setters. Let me format my code. Okay, so now we have a class. Let's go back to user controller. And for this method to be able to read information from HTTP request that's coming in, we'll need to use annotation, which is called request body. And next we'll need to create a method argument of a data type user details request model, and we will call it user details like this. So now when JSON payload is read from the request body, it will be converted into user details request model, and our method can use this object that contains user details. Let's import request body. It needs to come from org Spring Framework web bind annotation. and we will import user details request model. This is our class. And now we have user details and we can use it in our method. There are a couple of more things I'd like to add here, and this is for us to be able to read information in either XML or JSON. So if we go back to our HTTP request, here's my postman, and I switch to headers, we provide here a couple of HTTP headers, and one of them is content type, which specifies the application JSON, which is a content type of our JSON payload. So if I want my method to be able to read JSON or XML, I will need to add a couple of more things to my post mapping, and these are the media type. We have already used media types once here when we used to specify that this method getMapping produces or can produce information in either XML or JSON. And now we can use this to specify that our post mapping can consume information in either XML or JSON. So I will replace produces with consumes, like this. And once user is created, we would like to return user details back. And that user details can also be in JSON or XML. So additionally to consumes, let's provide produces as well. So I will copy this and I'll put comma, and I'll paste it and I'll replace it with produces as well, like this. So our method now can consume application XML and JSON, and it can produce information which is in XML or JSON format. Now we are returning string from this method. Let's return user rest. Once user is created, instead of returning create user was called, we will return user object, and I will just copy the information that we have and get user details and paste it here, like this. So we will return back information about the user that we have, and I will use user details to return back not hard-coded email address, but the email address I have received from HTTP request. So that will be get email, and this will be get first name, and this will be get last name, like this. Okay, so we are almost done with this method. We can now run it and see how it works. So let me do that. I will start up my application. Application started. Now I will go to Postman and I will send this HTTP post request to /users, which contains this JSON payload, and it can accept back application JSON, and it sends application JSON as well. Let's send it. And here we go. HTTP request status is 200, which is okay. And we got back information that we sent. Let's test it and send a different first name. Let's send not Sergey, but Sergey with an I. And send it. And here we go. We get back Sergey with an I, which confirms that our code is working well. Okay, so let's continue and let's learn how to validate HTTP request body so that we can make sure that some of the required fields are not empty and email address, for example, is of correct format.